What's going on, everyone? This is Joe on the island, and today we're going to do a little mod highlight for a mod called Dino Depot. And this mod, if you haven't seen it already, is very comparable to the ASE version of Dino Storage. And it's about what we're going to get here, because obviously Dino Depot isn't created by the same person that made Dino Storage. It's created by a person named Delilah Eve, but is kind of the closest thing we got to a replacement for Dino Storage by Lethal. Lethal has gone on and said that he's going to do some family time and stuff before he starts modding again or moving his mod to ASA, which is not a bad idea. So yeah, but we'll go ahead and take a look at this, see what the features it has, and it's got quite a few. It's the best replacement I've seen for that type of mod, basically. So yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look and see what we need here. All right, so let's start with the Engrams here and what you're gonna need for that. I'll go ahead and get in here. So the Digitizer, which is like the gun that we used to have in Dino Storage, it's going to cost you 1 metal ingot, so that's pretty good. Before we got there, we were using the cryo terminal. I think this was Pelori's, and I'm probably butchering that name. I do apologize. Unfortunately, you can see this cryo terminal is really expensive, but we get down to the gun here. It's metal ingot of 1. The terminal for this is only a crystal and 1 metal ingot. And then we have a dino ball. It's different from the soul ball, but it's going to be a dino ball. 1 crystal there. And you can do stacks of 20 for 20 crystal. I prefer the stacks. At least in mine, now I do have a stack mod on, but at least in mine, I can stack up to 500 in a stack. So, which is kind of nice. I'm not sure how the weight differential, I think it's a little less weight once you cryopod one of these guys up in it. But as you can see, these are actually the dino balls. If I equip that, throw it out there, and I get my Rex. So the only thing I really have to complain about the throwing there is that it's not as precision as Dino Storage was. So it's kind of hard to stack them next to each other. They do have a tendency to move left or right or even backwards at times. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and pull out the gun and put the Rex away. You can see when I point the gun at something here, it lights up, and it's got a pretty good range, actually. You can see I don't know if you can see the purple glow. You can see kind of there. Yeah, if you got the purple glow, you should be able to put them away just like that. And like I said, it's got some pretty good range. See, I got the gig out there. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put that back. Put him out there. There you go. All right. So obviously, when you throw the ball, you get the ball back. When it's in use, then obviously you don't have it available to actually do to deploy or to use to capture. Anyways, as you can see, the animation for the Dino Ball here, it's showing my Rex here. And as I throw it, you can see I got little Rex silhouette in there, and it has a scroll with the level and what it is. So it's kind of cool. All right. So that's the Digitizer and the Dino Balls. So let's explore one other feature here, which is when you pull in a creature and it has things in your inventory, in their inventory, I should say. So if this Giga had the shoes, let's put those in there real quick. And if I come back here and I go ahead and cryopod it, you can see I got the shoes back in my inventory now. They came in with the Giga. This works most of the time. There are filters that are configurable. It is something that you're going to want to refer to the documentation on it, and you can configure it to pull all sorts of different items. You can also use it to basically shoot any bags on the ground and pull it to you as well, with some configuring as well. So, all right. So the next thing we really want to look at here is the terminal. And the terminal is kind of, if you're doing any breeding, or anything along those lines, it's going to be your key. Obviously, pay no attention to the wyverns here. We do have a mod on the server that's called Discovery World. Sorry, they just changed their name. And it has several of the creatures that you have in ASE in it. So we'll go ahead and get in here. The first thing we'll go ahead and look at is what they call the advanced search. You can get into that by pressing E. And it brings up this panel, which brings up a whole lot of, and basically it's going to show you your inventory of creatures. These guys are in my personal inventory currently. And then these are what's in the terminal currently as well. So there's a whole lot of things you can do here. Like if I wanted to see if we have anything that hasn't, that isn't matured yet. So I think they all are in here. By default, keep in mind too, especially if you're breeding, the terminals do imprint and raise the babies. So I have that feature shut off because I'm doing a whole lot of breeding, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But I shut that off because I do not want anything to change on my stats and so forth, so I can measure mutations and keep going with that. Obviously, when you hover over any of these, that's interesting. These are older creatures. As you can see, it says outdated. This creature was captured prior to the recent data format update. I'm not sure what that means, but I'm guessing that was a while ago. They've probably been in the terminal here for a month or so right now for me. But regardless, we're seeing the stats for this. If they had mutations, we'd see that here, and so forth. The only critique that I have really for this advanced filter and search is it'd be really cool if there was a checkbox for mutations, so it only shows me what dinos we have mutations on, because that's really what I'm looking for when I'm doing lots of breeding. I'm guessing that's what you're looking for when you're doing breeding as well, stacking those mutations. All right. The other cool thing it does, and we'll look in the inventory here, and the inventory on this one is quite extensive because I do have some settings on here. We'll go over those settings real quick. So this one, first off, if you put creatures in here that do produce these things, you can enable passive production. Now, these are the ones that are built in, so silica pearls, paste, the organic polymer, all those things can be done when those items are placed in the inventory and you enable passive production with this tick over here. But here in a little while, I'll show you how you can do your own custom one of these. So if you want to have something else to do this, you certainly can. All right, so let's look at this one here. We have different settings. As you can see, this one's doing passive production and it's doing like auto capture. So if we go in here, we're going to go ahead and see that we have lots of Rexes, Dino Balls. You do have to put the Dino Balls in the inventory here. Now, default, I think, is 500 storage slots. I did increase that. That is also a configurable option. We'll look at all the configs because there's a lot. You can pretty much make this thing do anything you want, which is pretty fantastic. We'll take a look at those here in a minute. But first, let's take a look at how this works here, because like I said, we got all these dinos in here, but then we start seeing some eggs, and these are Giga eggs, and I have hundreds of them in here. And the reason is, and I don't know if you've ever used this trick or not, but if you want to level up any of your dinos real quickly, get a bunch of Giga eggs, hatch them, and let your dinos kill the babies, and you end up leveling up pretty quickly. Like we did a whole fairy army in like 20 minutes basically, and leveled them up with about 1,000 eggs. So it's kind of cool. So there's that. So that doesn't necessarily do that out of the box. You do need to go into the settings, and you need to do, right now it's not turned on because I was breeding the wyverns up above, but fertilized egg searching needs to be turned on. And then you can shut off, well, actually egg incubation is really nice because what's going on here, you have a choice. You can either turn that off or on. And if you have it off, you're not going to get your eggs incubated right now. These eggs, so if I take this, it is ready to rock. I mean, literally, if I turn on this AC unit right here and I throw this egg out, we're going to get a baby Giga. And it'll probably get, I don't want to consume that. What am I doing? and it got automatically pulled into the terminal because like I said, I'm doing breeding. So, but it hatched immediately. So if we go into this terminal, we'll see we have a baby Giga. Actually, we've got twins right there. So, yeah. So it just pulled them right on in. So again, these settings are great. Unfertilized egg production is kind of cool. So if you put a bunch of females in here, let's say you want to just have the Rexes produce eggs, or you want to have Theres produce eggs, or Uties produce eggs, like some low level ones, so you can start making kibble. Put in unfertilized egg production. It's going to automatically produce eggs. I'm not using that. We have the egg. I don't know what the mod is, but we have a mod that works the same, and it was out way before this, so we're currently using that right now. So, but that's kind of cool. Again, allow passive production is really for getting your resources from specific creatures. Attribute structure, I'm not entirely sure what that is. I'll have to look. Yeah, there's no information on that I can read. I will have to play around with that. I have not. So you can tell it to do advanced options in the radio menu. So as you can see, if I hold down E, now that I shut that off, if I go back into settings, I can go ahead and turn that on. You get a lot more here. You can automatically shut off a lot of these things with the radio menu quickly. So this is the auto capture range. When you turn it on, it's going to show you the area it's covering to capture your creatures. And of course, you can adjust that by going into your settings and adjusting it here. So right now we're at 4.5. If I take it down to 2, save, and see it hasn't updated yet because that hasn't quit. We'll shut that off for a moment, and then we'll turn it back on. We get a lot smaller section here, and that goes up to a 10, I believe. And I'm not sure if you can go ahead and change that. As you can see, here's 10, which is a good chunk of my base area here, which we wouldn't want that to be. So we're going to go ahead and put it back to 4.5. All right, guys, we are at my breeding area, which is basically one of the oceanic platforms, actually a couple of them here out right in front of our base here. And out here I'm breeding several Rexes and working on getting some Megalodons ready. In fact, this terminal is full of all of my Megs that I'm going to be raising up here shortly in this other tank to actually do Megalodon mutations. So, but let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm going to turn on Super Spyglass so we can see. So right now I have this one mutated 39 times, it looks like, and it's ready for me to go ahead and launch these guys in with these females. So I'm going to take out this old male here, go ahead and pick them up just like so, and then I'm going to pick up the new one, line them up here, and that one was a 347. Equip that, toss that out as close as we can. Perfect. And we'll enable the mating, and here in a few moments, once they get some babies in the terminal, which is located right here, so it's covering all these. Word of advice, if you're doing anything of these larger creatures, disable their ally looking, because they just knock you around in here. It's already bad enough when they start moving around when they are laying their eggs. So let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. This side is my health, that side is my melee. These are going to be two clean stacks that'll eventually be bred together to produce one. And I don't know why I have dillos here, but you know. So 347. Pop those out. Enable mating. And then we'll take a look at what that looks like here in a minute. Once they, actually, we'll see when their babies hatch here. It should be pretty quick. They should just get pulled away. Doesn't quite have that satisfying sound that Dino Storage had, where it kind of made it like a chime. I don't know if that's the right word for that, but it definitely was nice. Anyway, so we've gotten some creatures in here. Let's see. This one doesn't have that. It's 347. See, this one doesn't have the ally look turned off, so he's constantly gonna push me around. But nonetheless, 347, so we're looking 89, 30, 349 is the magic number we want to look for. So we'll go ahead and get in here. One thing I just like to do is just go 349, and I don't have any yet. So see if one pops in here with this batch. As you can see, I'm getting pushed around. But unfortunately with these Rexes, this is really kind of the tight circle I had to create. And if you want to know how to get these Rexes in this tight circle, throw them out from babies directly there. And there we go. We have a male that just popped in, and put them as close together as possible and let them grow up that way. It's really the only way. So what we're looking for is melee on this one. And we got a health mutation on that one. So it doesn't really help us yet. Let's go take a look. Excuse me. Let's go take a look at the health side of it. 349 as well over here. We got a male. And we got a weight mutation, which doesn't help us a whole lot. So we kind of have to wait. Downfall, obviously, if you've done any breeding, is you know that after 20, it gets a little slow. It's a little slower after 20. I think it drops down to like 3%, and that's going to be a female, and still the wrong thing that we're looking for. And we're looking for males, especially so because you just keep swapping out the male here. And there we go. So we have our male with 80 instead of 78. So we got a mutation. Mutation brings it up by 2 levels. As you can see, under the melee, we have 62, which is the wild level. And then we have the mutation level, which is 80. I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to shut off breeding over here. We don't need any more. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this guy out and let him start growing up. One thing that's really nice about this is cleaning up is super easy. Go into your terminal. Once you have everything, you don't need any of this in here. As you can see, got 110 loaded up. You do kill all, and they're gone. One of the best parts, gives you XP. I'm maxed out at the moment, so I'm not seeing any XP growth until I get my chibi all leveled up. But yeah, so that is mating with the terminal. And here in just a moment, we'll go check out the passive production. All right, everyone, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about the passive production of animals within the cryo terminal, or the Dino Depot terminal, I should say. Depot terminal. Yep, that's what they refer to it. Anyways, I'm on the CurseForge page for Dino Depot here, and if you scroll down on this page, it's got all sorts of great information on here. There's even the ability to spawn creatures in a dino ball. This is a whole Google Docs spreadsheet that'll actually walk you through that process, because it builds out the whole command. It's pretty cool. But one of the things that we're going to look at is that passive production. And to get to that, we're going to go to the configuration Google Docs here. Yeah, so Delilah Eve has done a great job on this and documenting. I mean, there's so many arguments that you can use for anyone that gets real nerdy. And you can go in here and just tweak any of this stuff in your game user settings INI file. You just basically take an argument and then you change it to whatever you want. It explains what it is. But the area we want to look at is this passive production config, and it shows a JSON file. So you do have to have a little understanding on how to create a JSON file. Briefly show you how to do that, but it is something that you'll have to do in order to configure this properly. And then you're also going to have to host that JSON file in some remote location where it can pull it through. I haven't tried it on a local pull because it does say that it's a URL. So I just have it hosted on my web server and it pulls it from there. But we want to use this other builder here. So in this passive production config, we're going to go ahead and we'll go to this. I already have that open here. Oops. There we go. This one right here. And this is the builder to make the JSON file. It's basically gonna, you just fill out the blanks. Basically, it's gonna create the code for you, and then we're gonna go ahead and copy it into a text file and save it. So the first thing is we're gonna go ahead and select what we want. Right now, I already have one built out. It did an anklo. Then we get the production time. So this is in seconds. So every 60 seconds, it's going to try to produce a primary production of metal, but if it can't, it's going to do hide. And it has a 70% chance that it's going to be hide. So obviously metal is the higher end object. So we want to make it go after hide if it can't do it. So you're going to get 70% of the time, you're going to get hide versus metal. And you can obviously change that accordingly. I have it set to 60 seconds right now, just so we can see how it works. I don't necessarily think that that's the best option for you, but it is in seconds. So if you're going to do 2 minutes, it's going to be 120 seconds and so on. So that's how that works. Basically, you fill this out, you go ahead and set it up, then you have that checked active for that creature, but you could go ahead and add more. Like if you wanted to do a Basilosaurus, I mean, there's a whole list of different dinos here that you can go ahead and use. These are all the vanilla creatures that are built in. So you can select whatever you want there. And I think a lot of this is ASE too. So I think this builder can be used interchangeably between the two versions of Arc. So yeah, but yeah, you just check that active as well, and it's gonna add more code. As you see, it just made this a little bit bigger, started a whole dino type for the Basilosaurus, but we don't really want that. So not right now anyways. But yeah, so and then once you're all said and done, you've configured all your settings here. You just literally highlight this right here, and you're going to go ahead and right click and copy. Once you do that, you're going to want to go ahead and open up a text editor. I suggest using Notepad++. It is free. So, and then you just go ahead and paste it in there. And then all you do is do a save as. And you're going to go ahead and select JSON. So there's 2 JSON types in here. Oh, I can't see anything today. And there it is. JSON, there's JSON 5 and JSON. I just do JSON. So, and you should be all set. You can save that. You need to upload that to a remote location and then go adjust your INI file. Like we said, if we go back to here, go ahead and you'll put in this passive config equals, and then you're going to put the URL in, and that'll pull in your actual config. So that's how that works. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like in action. All right, so we're back here in my base, and this terminal has passive production turned on. It's pulled in that config file we just created, and it's been running for a little while here. I have one Anki in here, and this one Anki, and I've left it running for about a day. So he's producing all these things based off of our config file. Obviously, we said, you know, metal was going to be the harder thing to get. If it can't do that, it's going to create some hide. So obviously hide is much higher, 70% probably more hide than there is metal, basically. So that's kind of how it works with all of these resources. And every 60 seconds, it's going to try again. It's either going to give me hide or metal for that first option, or any of those other options that we had set up in there as well. So as you can see, we're getting all these passively produced. We can make it even better by putting another Anki in. So now we have 2 of them that are passively producing. So it's going to multiply it by 2 now. So every 60 seconds, it's going to look at it. It's going to give us some more items, basically. And it's going to continue forever. Like I said, don't necessarily recommend the 60-second thing. This is mostly just for a show because I wanted to show you how it's producing. And hopefully while we're sitting here talking, it clicks up a little bit and we can see how that all kind of increments. But that is pretty much how the passive production works, or the custom passive. Obviously, you can still go in here and use all of these. So if you put a Basilo in, you're going to end up with oil, which is the squid oil. So put in the snail, you get the Argentina paste, which I can never say. So yeah. So generally speaking, that's how it all works. I haven't tried some of these. I'm not sure who produces silica pearls, or who I can tame, what dino I can tame to actually produce the silica pearls. Fertilizer, I'm guessing, is a dung beetle. Not sure. So like I said, you can play around with it and see how that all works, or you can go ahead and create your own custom one. I think that's going to be pretty much all of it here for the Dino Depot. It's a fantastic mod. I think you should go ahead and try it out. And if you have a little bit more of a techie skill, go ahead and test out your passive production code and so forth. And yeah, I think it's pretty good. All right, well, I think that pretty much sums up what this mod is all about. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe the video. And hey, if you want to check out another video that's just going up here shortly, actually it should be up by now, it's going to be the configurable wild baby dinos. And that mod is pretty awesome if you're tired of having like RGs that don't have babies, or Spinos that don't have babies. Pretty much anything tameable can have a baby, or a chance of a baby, and totally configurable too. You can go ahead and set the chances up any way you like. Go ahead and check that video out. It's going to be appearing on your screen now. Till next time, have a good one.